Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today what I wanted to do is give you a follow-up of Hurricane Ian and some of the local impacts that it's had. Local, I mean what went on around my house. So first of all, you should be able to hear generators running in the background. So everyone in the neighborhood, there's no power. I think 99% of the county here is without power right now. So I have my generator running, and if you hear that, I apologize. But you just have to have this. It's not strong enough to run my air conditioning, so all that I have is fridge and a few fans and my portable devices. Cell service is really terrible now. There's just a lot of issues, but we were very, very lucky. We didn't have any flooding. The Gulf is about a little over a mile that way. There's a I don't know, there's an emergency vehicle that just went down the street, community service vehicle that just went down the street and turned around. Anyway, there's a lot of activities going on here. Like I said, the Gulf is about a little over a mile that way. And so the streets, we call them the canal streets. So the streets that are about a mile that way, they were underwater, the vehicles were underwater, and we were enough above that water level and that surge that we didn't have anything. They were flooded also the other way. So, and I don't know where that water came from. It rained pretty hard. So there was water. That end of the street was flooded, and that end of the street was flooded. So luckily we just kind of stayed here. What you see behind me is just some of the, I mean, I shouldn't even be complaining because this is really not much damage. So the date palms that I've shown you in the past that are right here, there was a lot of leaves. I was standing inside looking out, and you could see the leaves being ripped out of the date palm trees. But they're okay, and it's surprising. A lot of the trees here did okay. We walked the neighborhood this morning and saw only a few trees that were down. There's just lots of debris everywhere. There's shingles everywhere. There's leaf everywhere. There's porta potties that are they're pretty light, and they just get thrown across the street. Mailboxes came off a lot. Mine did not. But there were mailboxes all over the place. It was pretty intense. The main leaves that are behind me are from my royal palm that's right there. And so that's the big trunk is a royal palm. Hurricane Irma actually bent it over a little bit, and I think Ian pushed it back up a little bit. So it's really interesting, but it lost the majority of the leaves. As far as other plants in my garden, and we'll take a look at these. I'll get behind the camera in a little bit and we'll take a look at it. I had an alamanda that was on a really sturdy trellis, and that just cracked. It just cracked. It just was, you hold on to it, you couldn't move it, but it cracked over. I had most of the blooming orchids I brought inside, and they were okay. I had a few orchids that I had that were hanging, that were on a physical hanger, and those essentially, some of those, not too many, less than a dozen, just fell onto the ground, and those are certainly okay. I did put a lot of orchids. I took them down, some of the bigger ones and the bulkier ones. I took them down and put them in my garage, or in my truck in the garage. So again, those were okay also. The orchids that were mounted on the trees, none of them came off. The ones that were flowering, some of those, depending on the kind of flower it was, some of them got really, some of them got shredded. And we'll take a look at some of those also after I get behind the camera. I did have a bougainvillea, a huge bougainvillea that was on top of my orchids on my shed. It was big, and I have to work on that, and I'm going to have to trim the bougainvillea, cut it back almost all the way, It was a bougainvillea tree, kind of, and the top part of it just got blown off of my shed. So, but I wanted to show you around and show you things before cleanup. So I'm out here. It is the morning after Ian came through. The wind, there's no wind. I have some video of what the wind looked like in my front yard, and the date palm leaves were just really blowing back and forth a lot, and especially the royal palms. Those just got shredded, and so all the large fronds that are on the ground now are from the royal palm, because of they're taller trees, and apparently and I looked through the neighborhood, and everyone's royal palm is missing half or most of the leaves that are on the plant. But what I want to do is, and I should also say I have a foxtail palm that I trimmed that was close to the power lines and the cable, and I trimmed it because of the hurricane. I trimmed it before the hurricane came through because it was close, and I didn't want it interfering with any of those lines. And one of the leaves that was hardly even open yet, it just wrapped itself around the cable. Didn't pull off yet, but that's one of the first things I got to do. There's a lot of first things I got to do is trim that leaf and get it out away from the cable. It's not the power lines, it's lower, so it's a cable, so I should be okay in getting that. All right, so what I want to do is get behind the camera and show you some of the damage, show you some of my flowers that are still okay, but then also show you some of my shredded flowers and show you some of the things that are going on in the garden. I should also say that right now it's cloudy. There's a little bit of wind. There's channel, if you can hear chainsaws going on in the background too. There's a little bit of wind, so it's nice. It's a little cooler, which is great because no one has air conditioning. And so hopefully we'll be like this for a while. But what I remember from Irma, the last bad hurricane that came through in this area, is that the post-hurricane recovery was terrible because we had no power. I had no AC. I didn't even have a generator at that point. But it was just so miserable. It was so hot, and that was the worst thing about it. No electricity. No internet. Still had water, and we still have water here. Some places have boil notices on their water. And we have a boil suggestion here. They haven't really confirmed that there's any real issues, but we've got plenty of bottled water, so we should be okay. Anyway, let me get behind the camera and we'll take a look at some of the actions of Hurricane Ian. Okay, so we are back, and just to give you an idea, these are mostly, there's a combination of debris that is in the yard here. So most of what you have here, these are royal palm fronds that have come down. So this is my royal palm tree right here. And so we'll take a look up at the top of it, and what you can see is lots of the leaves are gone and they are down in the yard. And I'm going to swing over to my neighbor's palm, and his is not, but his is leaning, I think, just a little bit. Anyway, this is my royal palm back here, and the leaves are everywhere. So there's royal palm, there's date palm leaves that are mixed in here as well. But what you look at, if you go through the house, between the houses, even some of the fronds got placed back there. My Carpentaria palms, they look okay, and even the large, the seeds didn't get touched, but just lots of debris and stuff in the yard. So there's there's a frond right there. Actually, let me move up to this one, and there's that's a mango, piece of a mango that's up in there. Most of these again are these leaves are from my date palm tree and the royal palm. And taking a look at the orchids, I thought that nothing got damaged too badly, but you know, and I still they're okay, but they're a lot lower than they used to be. This flower looks, I mean, they're just beat up, but they're okay. The plants themselves are okay, and I thought everything was good, but I'm kind of looking at this. This is my monster foul right here, and it looks like that some of the leaves got ripped off there. These flowers on these dens, they're wilting an awful lot, so I kind of went over and I'm taking a look at this plant, and it looks like I get to propagate it because I saw, where is it? Oh, right here. There is, so this right here is not connected anymore, but it's kind of hung up in there. So I get to propagate that. I'm looking at, there's a cattleya right there that was just ripped out of its place on the date palm. So that's a cattleya. The dendrobium over here, you know, I'm not sure why everything just got beat up. The plant itself looks okay of that den, but it just is pretty chewed up. The other thing is that this was, and I'll include a picture of what that flower used to look like, but that is a Cattleya labiata, I think, and it was really beautiful. The plant itself didn't get disrupted that much, but the flowers got destroyed. There is right there, I don't know if you can tell, it's out. That's a Maikai that was doing really well, that was snug up in there, and the rubber band that I used it to hold it in place wasn't enough. But there's other plants here that there's no, I mean, they're just their roots, and they're fine. But even some of the plants that were grabbed on with their roots got pulled off. So this is another den that was, you know, stuck on the tree, and I couldn't move it, but it just is a little shredded. So that's kind of too bad. But most of the other ones, there's a Vanda right there. There's an Oncidium right there. There's a Cattleya right here. So most of them are okay. There's another Cattleya right there I grew from seed. There's an Encyclia right there. Another Maikai right in there that didn't get destroyed. You know, it's interesting that you get in the dens right here. I don't know if you can see it, but even with this den that's right here, it just looks like it's all, it just looks wilty. It's just, I mean, there's a lot of wind that came through, and I'm not sure if that's gonna pop back, but it's pretty, you know, that shouldn't be like that. Anyway, so that's the front yard. Again, more damage right there. That's again part of my neighbor's mango tree. Lots of mango debris ended up over here. So anyway, so what I want to do is take a look in the. I got to finish this up because I got to start cleaning all this. But I'm going to take a look at the backyard, and we'll go over some of that. Okay, and now we're back, and there's a lot of noise going on back here, because what you can hear is maybe you can hear the generator running, but if you couldn't hear that, you'd still be able to hear the wind. Anyway, what I'm showing you right now is a plant that just got its roots ripped up at the base, and so this was a this was a beautiful plant that I grew from a cutting, and this just got torn up. You know, I didn't think there was a whole lot of damage, but this is a vanilla vine right here, and I look at the top, and the top just got snapped off. I don't know where it is. It'll be fine. You know, each one of those leaf axes is going to produce, has the potential to produce another shoot. And so this plant has been doing really, really well, but the top's gone. I'm going to show you one of my foxtail palms, and you can see how that frond right there is wrapped around the cable. So that's one of the first things that I got to take down. This thing wasn't in the way. It was standing up, and it just got snapped. But a lot of these leaves just, I mean, this thing was not, you know, these leaves were up pretty high yesterday before the hurricane came through. All right, so let's take a look at this. This is my bougainvillea that was sitting on top. It was covering the top of this shed, and it just got blown off, and all the leaves got ripped off, and unfortunately most of my orchids below it are still, well, they're still there, and they're below it, but it's just a little bit of a mess. So I have to, this is going to be heavy, and the thing is, it's a bougainvillea, and if you're familiar with bougainvilleas, they're thorny also. I should also, we can take a look at, let me go in the back here. And so my neighbor lost a lot of limbs off of this tree, and they were sitting, I think, on the electrical line. The cable, one of the cable lines is snapped and just kind of blowing in the wind right there. Let me see if I can get a little closer look at it. So it's just kind of blowing right there, and it's actually coming into our yard, and I'm pretty sure that's the cable, because the electrical lines are a little further up top. Anyway, let's take a little bit more of a look at things. You know, the things that were this bougainvillea is just a mess. Look at that. It got shredded. And again, I got a lot of plants that are on the top shelf. I'm surprised that a lot of them are still good, but I do have some plants that are on the ground. It's the dendrobiums is what I keep up there. Anyway, you can get an idea of things if you can see the debris on the fence. Everything just got shredded, and all the debris is all over the place. But you know, some of my orchids are okay. As you go here, you know, that Vanda's okay, that's okay. A lot of the palm leaves are snapped in this tree, but they didn't come down. When you take a look at things in general, I just saw 2 more orchids that are down. All right, and those are these guys right here. That's a shame. That's down and out of the pot, and that fell from pretty high up. And that one too. So we're gonna have to, and then over here there's an orchid down, but for the most part, that one's gonna fall right there. So I gotta stop filming and get this. But again, more leaves down here, and there's some orchids that are in need of some attention. I've got a plumeria that's over here that just, again, it was a beautiful plant, and it got shredded, and let's see if the flower, the flower that's up there is still okay. Okay, it's an immature flower. And then again, some of the orchids, there was no damage on some of the orchids, but then others of them got destroyed pretty badly. I have some video back here also that I shot, and that that video, it shows how much everything here was blown, and it's clear to see why everything back here was damaged so badly. But I'm looking at my plants here, and I feel the need to turn the camera off so I can start going to rescue my orchids. Okay, and again, for more on the pergola, and again, these plants have done, they did okay. I brought a lot of them in, but I think I also underestimated the power of the storm. Just the wind was so much, it just really damaged some of the plants just because the wind was so strong. So again, that's an overview of my backyard and where the orchids are, and hopefully I'll be able to get this cleaned up pretty soon. That's all I have for today. If you like what you saw today and you're interested on seeing more, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. And hopefully soon I will have another video showing what the cleanup from this looks like. So again, that's all I have for today. Happy propagating.